I'm not walking right now, but I will be. Good morning, Rob. Grand Risings, my friend. I'm just kind of waiting for just giving everybody a few minutes to cue on in. I'm not walking right now, I'm sitting down by the creek, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to start here I actually walked out here, so I'll walk back at some point. But good morning, Grand Risings. I know I've been kind of like incognito a little bit when it comes to paradigm shift community, but just kind of feeling things out. So, well, really connecting to this reality, like this reality in like terms of like my life, like where am I physically? So I've been kind of guided to connect there a lot more recently, just because I think maybe like, I don't know, I've been sitting with a lot lately. It's been really interesting. Um, and a lot of what I've been sitting with is like taking the community building a step further, even amongst everything going on. And you understand what I'm saying. And you know, it's been really interesting because as I have began manifesting, like, not only have I grown a community online, but I've been growing a family, and the community online is part of that family, but I've been growing this physical family that has been very reflective of like past loved ones, right? It's been really interesting. I can't explain it like in words right now. But a lot of things like in my life have been shifting greatly, and maybe everyone else like can resonate there. Like maybe you are also feeling a lot of changes, like in stuff that you like feel out of your control. And when you add to that like just the nature of reality right now, just kind of like the 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 base frequency that the majority of the collective are vibrating on, right? So when you look at that, like the base frequency that the collective consciousness, like the majority of people are vibrating on, you kind of like you can begin to see, you can begin to piece together kind of like where where we're headed, right? So maybe some of you have been being activated. Maybe you've been having visions more, maybe you've been seeing things, downloads. Like, I know for me personally, when I first started to awaken, I began seeing a lot of apocalyptic visions, which can be scary, you know? And maybe some of you in this live right now resonate there. Maybe you have seen some really scary things. You're like, I like, why would that happen? Like, I don't understand why bad stuff would happen. And then you have a lot of spiritual individuals who are trying to like, and Phil's talked about this, about like shunning the false light matrix, and I'm guilty of this. Like I will firsthand tell you, like, I've spoken about the false light matrix, but I recognize that I didn't I didn't give the full picture, right? There is, you could perceive it as a false light matrix, right? You could perceive it as such. And without that opposing view, without those, and kind of what my guides have been showing me recently is like, there are those who are ascending and there are those who are descending, and there is no right or wrong here. And we really don't know who is doing what on a human level. It's kind of one of those things, you're just like, things will happen and then you'll be like, oh, that's why that happened. And you just kind of like, the picture will begin to build itself. You know, people will remove themselves from your life. You know, things, you can really release control of things that are Yeah, like, okay, so that's just like the connection from the dream realm, right? Or the spiritual realm is being woven into this physical reality. So as we awaken, like as we realize that we are quite literally in a lucid dream, like this physical reality is a dream that we have dreamt and are currently dreaming, and we are just consciously aware of this dream that we are experiencing. Like, that's why a lot of people talk about the illusion. But what is the illusion is our reality, and that's what makes it real. Because like we've immersed ourselves in such a way into this experience that the only way out is in and through, right? And like that is sometimes hard for our brains to understand, because then we recognize that we actually have no control when we leave this earthly existence because of death. Like, we don't control when we die unless we take our own life. And then when you do that, you like when you take your own life, there, and this is kind of where we start talking about sense. What is sin? What is it? It's life experience, so it's lessons learned. There is no right or wrong like that. I've spoken about this quite a few times, and I know it's sometimes hard for like people's minds to like comprehend how like killing someone isn't wrong, right? Because I'm not condoning the behavior, because I wouldn't do that. I have been in a space where I've felt so compelled, so emotionally overstimulated, that I didn't feel like I had a choice until someone snapped me out of that energy. And this is kind of where I talk about like the community really being, like the physical community being highly important, because I watched this movie last night, and I recommend it if you have Netflix. No, it exactly, Rob, what you said. I'll get to that in a second. But I watched this movie last night. It was the Mitchells versus the like robot invasion or something like that. It's a cartoon um, movie on Netflix, and it's made by Netflix. And if you watch that, it's a lot like Wall-E, and it's similar to those types of movies. But when you look at that movie, and you look at the things that are coming out, you kind of like, they're literally showing us what's about to happen. And maybe maybe a lot of people aren't aware of that, but they're giving it to us. Um, so yeah, that Johnny Rob. I'm gonna end up calling you both at one point in the same sentence. We're all awareness. There isn't more than one awareness. Our bodies and experiences make it seem like we have different consciousness, but it's not. And you're correct. I've just talked about this, about the oversoul. Just like we have our own soul, fractals on fractals on fractals. Like, ultimately there's one chakra in the body. If everything is aligned, all chakras are working harmoniously, you only have one chakra, and it works like you are the battery, you are the crystal, you are just connected. There is no lag. You know when to recharge and when not to recharge. And you take that a step further, right? Consciousness, we are all of the same source energy, both positive and negative frequencies. The only reason we perceive them as positive or negative is because of the dualistic nature of this physical reality that we're experiencing. And that's just because of our, like, this separation that we have created, so we can ultimately learn lessons. Like, this earth was this is the download that I've been having the most lately. Earth was created so all star races have the ability to experience the same race and experience the reflection of the oneness, which is why Earth is seen as the Garden of Eden. This is where we are meant to experience pure love and light and bliss, and we're meant to be one with nature and not and be separate and unified at the same time. We're not meant to live the way that we live. We really aren't. I've been sitting with that so much. Like, I love technology, don't get me wrong. But some of my trauma comes from the Orion Galactic Wars and knowing what technology did there. And so and this is kind of what I feel is happening here, like building this reality where we aren't consumed by the technology, but we are walking alongside the technology. But what you can see, the direction they want to head, though, those who have the most manipulative power, they want to head into creating us more into the robot or that cyborg energy. We kind of already are, in the sense of how connected we are to these phones. These phones essentially have their own consciousness now. And that's something I picked up in that movie I watched, the Mitchells versus the Robot Invasion or whatever on Netflix. I'm telling you, like, I wasn't expecting what I got with that. I thought it was just going to be like another cartoon movie, but John Legend and Chrissy Teigen are in there. So if you know anything about Hollywood and like stuff, you know, you can kind of connect some dots there. Yeah, Rob, be an extension, like, allow the technology to be an extension of you. Like, use it as the tool that it is. And, like, I see everyone, okay, let me rephrase this. I see a lot of people in our reality that have the tools to be their own boss, to, make their own money, to really be that entrepreneur. But instead of using the tools that they have, like the technology, they'd rather use people to stay stuck where they are. And I can't say that I'm not guilty of that, but I've done that in my life. And I recognize that a lot of the awakening process is non-judgment. It is recognizing that you did what you did so you could learn what you learned. And not to judge yourself, but to forgive yourself. And, if you feel the need or called to have a conversation with whoever you feel you may have wronged. I've reached out to numerous people that I felt like that I have done something wrong, when in reality, I think honestly I was probably the victim. But because I have such a big heart and I understand that, like, I'm not just the victim in the situation, like, I was part of that whole situation. I don't have pride in the sense of needing to not say sorry. Like, I have no reason not to apologize for my actions when the time comes. Even if it's not wrong, because at the end of the day, it's not wrong, but it's more of my awareness of how it affected someone else. And a lot of people have pride. They don't want to apologize for, affecting someone. They're like, well, you didn't do anything wrong. It's like, no, you're right. I didn't do anything wrong. And it still affected them. So, like, if I feel the need at some point to reach out and, touch base with that energy again, sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's not warranted. It's all an intuitive thing. Yeah, and it shouldn't be used to control us, and it is still being used to control us. Like, I didn't want to do this live this morning. I sat with myself for a few minutes because I was like, man, I don't want to walk this path. And they're like, you were built for this path. Like, you're meant to walk alongside this in the manner that you're about to do, and however that manifests. I'm still kind of piecing all that. Sorry, I'm starting to see stuff. It is what it is. But like, yeah, just walking alongside. And something else that I guess really spoke to me this morning. The first thing that was on my mind when I woke up was how the Buddhists, before they do anything for the day, they sit on the end of their bed, on the edge of their bed for an hour before they get up and walk. And thank you, Free Spirit. I feel a lot of people are going to be needing this, so I'm glad to be an inspiration. But think about that, like, how many people in our collective are taking even 5 minutes before they get out of bed to center themselves, not to worry about the day, but to meditate, literally, to be mindful, to bring their awareness into their heart. You know, something I recognize, I don't have the ability to right now because of my living situation, but I would advise turning your internet off at night. Allow yourself to sleep without it on. Like I said, I don't have the ability to turn mine off right now, just because of my living situation. But, you know, again, I'm working towards getting out of that. But it's really, I think it's really important that we start sandwiching our day on either end without technology. You know, I know a lot of people use their phones as alarm clocks and stuff like that. But maybe there is a way that we can consciously use everything that we have and not allow it to consume us. Because think about it. Okay, I'll just speak from experience. So I did an experiment. My roommates, they left for a weekend. And they like to watch TV and play video games. So the Wi-Fi's on usually, the Wi-Fi's on all the time because their TV's on all the time and they stream different things. So while they were gone, I turned the internet off, and it was the first time in like months I had dreamed, and I remembered it. And it was a very intense dream. And then the next day I left the Wi-Fi on, and I felt like something picked me up and took me somewhere that wasn't me. Oh, and again, do not get me wrong. Like, I do not judge anybody. Like, I don't. I see them. I honor their space. I've been there. You know, I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. Boy, have I been there. I used to not be able to sleep without the TV on. Literally could not sleep without the TV on. I've been there. I've been there. I've been deep. I've been dark. And I wish I'd had the balls or the courage to express myself when I was that low, because I'm telling you, I've been there. I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to not want to be here. I know what it's like to want to go home. I know what it's like to feel that, you know? I know what it's like to feel depression, anxiety, fear, like you can't get out of your own way. You see it, but you can't get out of it. It's like trapped, right? I know that. And something I have been personally working on so diligently is removing myself from that focus at all and really putting my focus on me. Because so long as I'm seeing that reflection, my energy is flowing there, and I am aware of that. And so it's hard because you live with that reflection. But it's that reflection that is allowing, personally, me to untrap myself from my own box. I'm being able to geometrically reform my reality. And that's a gift. But I love them so much, and that's what hurts. And when I see, and this is, I want to talk about this, I guess, because this is something I have been sitting with. I see people hurting themselves. I see people lashing out. I feel it. I feel things so deep. I wish I could explain it. It's like I feel other people's emotions as if they're my own. And it's taken me a really long time to find myself And now it's taking me a little while to find the balance in all of that, so I don't get swept away by the currents around me. Like, I've been working with water a lot lately, and I think one of the hardest things is seeing seeing people hurt themselves and knowing that it's so easy. It's so easy and yet so difficult to get out of your own way. And I get that. And that's patience. Like, patience is not easy. And Becca, you saying that, right? And it does tell me Joanne, I believe it's Joanne. Intelligence, right? Courage, commitment, yeah. Like, and Becca, I feel this on a mother's level, right? Like, you're watching your children and you just have to be so hands off and know that because we're all connected to the same source, they're safe and they're taken care of. And I actually have a little experience to talk about this, because yesterday we hung out with Nina, which she may be in here. I'm not sure if she is still. But we hung out with Nina, and we hung out with our godchildren, Carmela and I. And it was a lot of fun. I love hanging out with her and the children. I know sometimes, and I've talked to her about this, sometimes I seem very hard and distant, and it's just me working through my own energy. Because, every time I come into contact with people, it's a very deep experience for me, so it's not easy. And, like, we were walking yesterday along this path that's in Rumford, and the children really like to do this thing where they'll run really fast up to the edge of, like, because it's along a riverbank, they'll run really fast up to the edge and then throw something, and you get so scared because they're running, and you're like, ah, you don't want them to jump off. But something that, Nina's been working with, and myself and Carmela, is watching the kids do their own thing and see, like, they're not gonna just jump off. They see, you know, and had this other experience with oldest James. They are my bad. They are they're just beautiful. They're just unfolding so beautifully. And they did this thing where they wanted me to pick them up, and I was like, no, we're gonna keep walking. And they just sat down, and they just sat there. Like, all right, you're not gonna pick me up? I'll just sit here. And I walked up, and I was like, I guess James has decided to just sit there. And Nina was like, yeah, they do that sometimes. You just keep walking, and eventually they get up. And we just kept walking, not too fast, because we didn't want to get too far ahead of them. We just kept walking, and sure enough, the little guy got up, they got up, right, and started walking towards us, like, actually running. And it's just really cool to see, like, kids really do play with our emotions. And we have to be centered in ourselves, not to be persuaded by their emotional state, because they're literally just flowing with the energy, and the energy is consistently shifting. So think about this. Think about their entire star chart, their entire star placement. All of that energy is focused here to have this physical experience. So they are learning how to be a human. They have no idea how to be a human. It's their first time. And they're so guided to, so connected to source, that if you watch them, they have their own guides, their own connection, their own little, their own little spiritual peeps, right? Like, doing their thing with them. Get outside. Yeah, get out in the rain. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, go dance in the rain. I love just sitting out here and listening to the birds. They had some really cool stories this morning. I got a lot to say. How's this energy for everybody? I know the Pluto retrograde can get kind of like, and then Saturn is just like, I'm gonna start walking. You know, trust is one of the hardest things. Trust has been coming up so much lately. I had a friend of Carmela's, or a childhood friend of Carmela's, actually on a Facebook chat. I'm sure the comments are still there. Um, I posted maybe some kind of controversial things about COVID, and it was just talking about how messenger RNA is experimental stuff, and that's why I'm not I'm not being persuaded to do things that don't feel right to me. And to take that a step further, like the conversation ended up walking towards, right? Ended up opening up like, well, if you can't trust this entity or these people, who can you trust? It's like, well, if you're asking me who to trust, maybe you should start trusting yourself in the decisions you're making. Right? And that's not to be mean, but like, I have done a lot of healing with my trauma, and intentionally. It wasn't easy. Yo, it's a woodpecker. Let me see. That's so wild. Let me see if I can get it. Maybe you guys saw that. That was awesome. Okay, that was amazing. Just flew right there, squawked at me twice, and then left. I'm going to look up what that bird means. But back to what I was saying. I was talking talking about trust and talking about trusting yourself, and it's one of the hardest things to do. Trusting ourselves is not easy. And something, I guess, let's talk about that a little bit. Think about this. I was talking about earlier, the kids running up to the edge and us wanting to stop them. So what do? We run, like, this is what I would do. I would run after them and be like, no, easy. And then I didn't, we did that once or twice, but then I didn't after that, and I watched. And they would run up just far enough to where they could see, and they would stop. So then you show them, and then you trust that they'll know what to do. But it's placing the trust not only in them, but in yourself for being present, and on yourself for being present, and trust in source and their own path and journey, because they have one. Like, even if they're 2 or 3 years old, they still have their own soul, their own energy, their own path, their own journey. We just have the luxury, quite literally, to walk alongside these beautiful beings that get to grow up into what we are now. But now we have the ability to do it without obstructing them, without oppressing them, without shutting them down. And I feel that we all want that for all the children around us, is for them to experience unconditional love, so they don't get knocked out at their knees when they're trying to live. Thank you for the animals. Yeah, I love the animals. I don't know. I've learned more from this these two kids that I have from a lot recently. It's beautiful how kids are like, they really are such beautiful teachers. And I feel a lot of people get lost in this idea that, like, not necessarily that they know it all, right? But that there isn't something to learn from everyone. Even those that you may perceive as like lower frequency. Because what is lower frequency? It's just an idea. We all simultaneously exist, so we can all exist. Something that a lot of people, I get a lot of shit for. It's interesting. I'm very open, which I guess for a lot of people, this seems like that vulnerability. Like, well, why would you admit to your faults? And it's like, well, if I admit to my faults, then what are they using against me? Right? If I know what I am doing, and how it is affecting me, no one can use it against me. Even if it's not bad, you know? Yeah. I didn't realize it was 4 years. I thought they began recognizing themselves as separate somewhere in the infant stage, but I could be wrong. I guess referencing themselves in third person would still be them being like pure awareness. But maybe it's just recognizing self amongst the awareness. So then, all right, this opened my mind up a little bit. Oop, car coming. It's opened my mind up a little bit. So, what if when a child's born, we don't give them a name? Right? What if we don't give them a name or a gender? Or what if we don't give them an identity, we allow them to identify themselves? What if we did that? I say that because one of my godchildren, they, to the outside world, would be perceived as a little boy, and they very much so have expressed to us, and I think they're 2 years old, almost 3. They'll be 3 this year. They have expressed that they like pink. Not that they are a girl, but that they like pink, and they want to wear pink things and, wear dresses, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they've expressed some of that. They want a pink shirt, maybe that's what it is, and a pink car, and they're expressing themselves in that way. And to take that a step further, like, I've had conversations with his mother, and she said that she's had visions of seeing a little girl, but that she doesn't have a little girl, like, technically, right? But maybe, some individuals are meant to be split in such a way, right? They experience a fracture or a split in such a way. Yeah, they want to grow their hair out. I thought they wanted long hair. I'm growing my hair out too. Look at that. We can grow it out together. But they want, like, they want to express themselves that way. I remember as a kid, like, I expressed myself as boyish, and that's okay. A lot, like, usually female-bodied individuals who are considered tomboys, like, you outgrow that phase. And it's like, but what if we tell them, oh, you'll just outgrow that, and so they see everyone else becoming, whatever, and so they just change themselves to fit in instead of that's just who they are, Yeah, it's so I've been sitting with PTSD a lot lately. Maybe because I'm diagnosed with it. I think it's a superpower. But when you look at trauma and you look at like fragmentation and you look at it how you will, what if we stopped treating it as like a dis-ease, right? What if these things weren't ailments? They weren't disabilities, you know? I understand, and I guess let me work this in a different way. I understand that sometimes our trauma creates certain things in our body for us to become aware of it so we can begin to heal. And that's sort of where the dis-ease comes from. But when it comes to experiencing trauma and then being mentally trapped by that trauma through the social conditioning of the identity of like mental health, and then we begin giving people pills and this and that and this and that, and we're not teaching them to love themselves and to heal and to sit down and meditate and to actually think about the things that have happened to them. I know there's therapy. I understand people have the ability to take care of these things, and I don't want anyone to get misconstrued in too much of a way. Like, I honor all processes, and I understand everyone walks the path that they walk. Like, I've taken prescription medication. You know, I've been on antidepressants. I've been on anti-anxiety medication, sleeping pills. You know, I've tried all of that. I've worked with all of that, and they helped for a time. You know, helped in the time and a place. And I still recognize that what was truly missing from my life was my awareness, my presence, my love, my gift of life. And yeah, I smoke some weed. I commune with Mother Ganja. You know, she helps me connect pathways that, you know, may otherwise be hard to reach. And that's not to say that I can't live life without it, because I can, and I have. I've actually lived a good portion of my life without it. And I meditate daily. I still meditate. I meditate before I even do anything. Before I do anything in the day, I meditate. And so, I've just recognized that we get caught up in what is right and what is wrong in our awakening journey and our ascension. And we're like, oh, well, it's got to be this, or it's got to be that, or it's got to be this, or it's got to be that. And then we get caught in judgment of our actions, and we're not living. We're trying to get somewhere, right? Like, maybe raising our frequency is just living our life authentically. I've been trying to really move away from certain linguistics, because it really does build a picture. And if we aren't choosing our words wisely, we don't know what we're saying. And I've been there. Part of our my personal experience, part of my throat chakra being activated was me speaking truth and being mean sometimes, you know, not intentionally. It's just I've had this energy pent up for so long because I've seen it and I haven't said anything and it just burst out. Right? I've been there, because you're seeing so much and you don't know how to express it into words. And so think about this. We have energy coming up from the earth and we have energy coming down from the earth. And these energies are, I actually had this download this morning, I've had the download for a minute, but it's really, really formed itself recently. I'm in the process of creating my course. If you're not familiar, I'm in the process of creating a healing course to kind of show people the simplicity of healing yourself, and just kind of giving some basics on the chakras, and I'm going to be doing meditations for each chakra, just kind of like guiding people through their own internal system. So, in the process of doing this, I've started to download more information. And part of that information was the stellar gateway, the 8th chakra, is really the heart chakra doubled. Why do I say that? All of our energy coming up meets into our heart chakra. We have a higher heart and a lower heart. Well, a higher heart, we have our higher heart and our heart chakra, but they're really one system. It gets complicated, but we don't need to get into the complication right now. But think about it. If you look at your heart and you put an 8 on either side, they kind of look like wings. And with our energy coming down and our energy coming up, it has to meet somewhere. And so, as we start to move our energy and not only take the energy all the way to our heart, but move it to, bring the energy from the sky to the ground and from the ground to the sky, we start circulating our energy into the infinite oneness that we are. We kind of become, I don't know, unified. I'm seeing Alpha Omega, but that's just in my head, I guess. I love you guys. Thank you for being on this walk with me and just listening. I really do appreciate it. I wake up some mornings and I have so much energy coursing through me that sometimes I don't know where to channel it. So I've been working on channeling my energy in such a way that I'm giving my gifts and abilities to those around me. So yeah. It's kind of a cloudy day, but it's still pretty nice out. How's everybody doing? What do you got on your heart? You guys, I can feel people working through things all around me. It's part of the reason why I've been a little distant. It's nothing personal. Don't want anybody to take that any type of way. I've also been working through my own stuff, so I usually like to recluse. Just to recluse, just so I'm not spreading shit. Know what I mean? Ooh, good. Go for a walk, Nina. I'm gonna leave this space open. I'm almost done with my walk. I'm just doing my little loop. I'd say probably got about 5 more minutes. Sounds like someone's doing some Souljah. Ooh, so I pulled the turtle yesterday, and the turtle is also closely related to the beaver. The beaver was one of my first spirit animals that ever shown itself. I also, right after the beaver showed itself to me, I started to have a lot of visions. And Josh, yeah, I've been using, it's interesting to say that. I've been working on, I guess, being able to use more energy. Does that make sense? Like, charging my battery for longer lengths of time. Ooh, scubas. This scuba jacket is so cool. Always wears that one. really cool. These walks, I've kind of built relationships with different people. There's an older gentleman that lives down the road that we were just on, and he broke his foot or his leg or something. And I saw him walking one morning. We just kind of chit-chatted, and I saw him again. We waved at each other a few days later. And then this yesterday morning, I saw him, and he didn't have his cast on, and he was healing up. And I'm just gonna turn around right here because I don't want to deal with all of that. I don't know. We just had a little chit-chat, and then there's a gentleman that lives there. His name's Victor. He's got a dog named Gunner. I don't know. I've just been my walks. I've been meeting people. It's been really cool, just communing, like talking to people. Everybody where I live is a bit relaxed, if you know what I mean. So it's not like it is everywhere else in some places. And then you look at like what things are saying, and you're just like, I don't know about this. Are you sure? Ooh, good morning, Amanda. Grand Rising. I got a few more minutos on my walko. But yeah, you do your thing. You got it. You ain't gonna bother me. You don't want to run me over. Yeah, I feel a lot of people are working through a lot of stuff right now. There's nothing wrong with that. You know? I find a lot of beauty in the rebirth process. And I think that's something that has kind of driven me to be so hands-on with everything. Like, and I guess what I mean by that is the last few months I've been having some really intense activations. And something that I've been shown is that I've lived many thousands of lives. I've been sitting with it, and I'm like, what? Like, to the point where, like, I don't remember my past lives, not because I haven't had them or that I'm like, you know, nothing like that, but because I've had so many that I've recognized that all that truly matters is this present moment. And if you get lost trying to remember the past and like bring the past into this now moment, all you're doing is reliving the traumatic history. You know, it's one thing to dig up the past to learn about it, right? But what if our focus on the past and how it's affecting the now is really us bringing the past into the now? And if we just lived and allowed this now to reflect to us what we need to heal from the past, as opposed to us trying to find it in the past, you know, the pattern in the past in the now, just allow the now's pattern to show us what it is, we could maybe create something different in the future. I don't know. So, yeah. And hell yeah, Becca. I'm excited for it too. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my rebirth process right now is letting go of more insecurities and just trusting that I do know what I'm talking about. Because trust me, it's there. I'm one to really, really trust and know that, like, I am my own guru, I am my own teacher, and with the way technology is and the information that is out there, like, everything we need, we already have. And I'll say that until the day I die. Everything we need, we already have. We just have to trust that it's going to be there when we know we need it. Breeze picked up. Well, I'm approaching my homular device. Y'all really need to watch that movie, Mitchell's vs. the Robot Invasion. I'm telling you, it's gonna blow your mind. I keep having like visions of things now. All right, school bus coming back. I love you guys. I will see you, some of you, later. Like I said, he saluted me that time. I like it. Alright, so yeah. I'll see you guys. You backing up? Back up, back up. Saluted me and lost where he was going. I love you all. Have a good rest of your morning. Like I said, I'll see some of you later. So yeah, infinite love, infinite light, and infinite movement, my friends. Namaste.